Hello everybody and welcome to the spring 2016 version of the Compare Contrast essay. I'm going to try to keep this video as brief as possible, but there is a little bit of stuff I need to explain in order to make this clearer for some of you that may have trouble with the written instructions. So I'm hoping this video will clear things up. Now, what I'm going to do is pause for a little bit while you go. In fact, you should probably hit the pause button because it'll take longer than my pause. But hit the pause button and go open up the instructions, and you can print them up in hard copy like I've got here, or you can go ahead and have them up on your screen. Really, I'm not going to be doing anything on the screen other than talking at a camera. So if you have the instructions up, you can follow along while I'm actually describing what my expectations are for this essay. And I will pause for just a couple of seconds while you hit the pause button and go get those instructions. Alright, so we're back. So look at the schedule. Now it says here on the schedule that Monday the 15th is your first draft deadline. Really, because it was so difficult for me to get this video up, I'm giving you until Wednesday the 17th. So you have until the 17th to get this first draft in. That should give you a little bit of time in case you were waiting for this video, or if there was something that you weren't clear on that this video helped clear up. Remember also, I've been receiving emails and I've answered all of those. I think, and I will continue to answer any emails that I can. So that is something that you also need to bear in mind as you look at the subject that you're going to be doing this compare and contrast on. All right. Then workshop week, what that means is basically I will, as the essays come in, I'm going to try to go ahead and go through those as quickly as possible and then give you my feedback to help you write a better essay. Just like I did with the narrative essay, and what I will continue to do for every essay throughout the semester. Now, there will be no peer review on this. You know, you had one peer review that was on the narrative. You're done with peer review. But if you did find that your peers helped you out on the narrative, and you think that your peer may help you out with the compare and contrast also, then by all means, feel free to contact each other and see if you can help each other out as well. But certainly don't ignore my comments, though, because I'm going to be looking through these with an eye towards what I'll be looking for as I grade your essay. So that'll be next week, and then you'll have until Monday the 29th. Yeah, Monday the 29th, you will have to turn in the final draft. So that will give you at least a week, if not more, to go ahead and make whatever changes and submit them for a grade. So that's the schedule. The objective is this. What I want you to do is I want you to look at a current event. And there are plenty of current events. If you turn on the news, you'll see current events. If you go on the internet, you'll see headline stories of current events. Now, what I want you to do for these current events is I want you to pick one that you have a little bit of a passionate feeling about. If you don't have any passionate feelings about current events, the first thing you need to do is get out of the house more. You also need to pay more attention to the news, because this is probably not as true of this class as it is the classes I teach on campus. But there is more to life than what's going on in Southwest Georgia. There's more to life than what's going on in Albany and Moultrie and Leesburg and Dawson and Baconton and everywhere else. And I know many of you don't live in Southwest Georgia. I know some of you might live in the Atlanta area or Savannah, Augusta. Some of you might even live out of state, and that's fine. But I want you to start becoming aware of what's going on in the world, not just in your community, which is important. I mean, your community is extremely important, but also the world at large, especially since this is an election year. And in 2016, we're going to select a new president because President Obama is out of terms. And the choice that we make in November will have a huge impact on the future of our country and perhaps the world. So I want you to get to looking at current events. Now, as I say that, there's one current event that's forbidden, and I forgot to put it in the written instructions, which I'm embarrassed about. I don't know why I forgot this, but I'll go ahead and make the point now, and I'll put it on the message board, and I'll also remind you in the email that I send you about this video being out. I do not want any papers on abortion. I absolutely have read my last paper on abortion. If I open up your paper and the title is abortion, I will send it back to you and say, give me something else. So don't waste your time doing any research on abortion for this project or for the argument because then you're going to get zeros, and then you're going to be mad at me because you wasted your time. So I'm warning you now, and I'm going to put it in writing in 2 other places. Do not pick abortion. Everything else is fair game. And you may be asking, well, how do I know what the current events are? How do I know what's being debated? Well, that's the first step of this assignment. So let's go through the step-by-steps. All right, step number 1. Go into either CQ Researcher, or if you've got the updated version, I've uploaded a new version of the instructions. But go into procon.org or go into CQ Researcher. I like procon.org better. And the reason for that is what Procon does is it gives you both sides very clearly in a nice little chart with bullet points or numbers. So let's say, and I've actually looked at underage drinking, which is another subject I've read too many papers about, but I'll go ahead and let you write about it. But and it's funny that just about everybody that writes about the underage drinking is under 21. But that's just an observation. Okay. So Procon, what you do is you go in there, it's procon.org, O-R-G. You'll get this website that has a listing on the home page of hot topics that are being debated. So you'll pick one. And it can be anything you want, except for abortion. You're not doing that, but anything else. At the top, there'll be a little summary. There'll be a did you know of some neat facts. And then you will go down, and there'll be links to similar articles. Then you'll go down, and there'll be 2 columns, a pro column and a con column. So on the drinking age one that I'm looking at, all the pros of lowering the drinking age to, say, 18. So whatever the good points about that would be. Then you got the con, which is all the negative aspects of the, well, I won't say negative aspects. That's probably unfair. Let's say the people that are against lowering the drinking age, they're in the con column. The people that are for it are in the pro column. So the people that are against it look in the con column, and they'll say, these are the reasons why we should not lower the drinking age. And this will be true of every current event that you look at. And again, if you're not sure of what it is, there's plenty of things on the news like gun control, medical marijuana, recreational marijuana. There are, standardized tests in schools. There is a whole ton of things you can write about. So look at that. And then you can get down to the bottom, and there'll be some background information, there'll be some videos, there'll be all kinds of other things. But anyway, look at both sides of the issue. Now, the next thing you're going to do once you do that is you are going to write, or you're going to pick a subject that you're going to spend the next 2 writing assignments on. So you're not only going to do this essay on that topic, but also the research paper, which is also known as an argument. So pick something you want to spend about the next 7, 8, 9 weeks on. So make sure you pick that. Don't pick something just because you pick something, which is another reason why I don't like abortion papers. Because too many students say, "Oh, I don't know what to write about. Hey, abortion is controversial. I'll write about that." And then it's like I read the same papers over and over again. So pick something you want to spend 2 assignments for the next 7, 8, 9 weeks, however long we're going to be doing this on those. You're going to examine both sides, and then you're going to write a compare-contrast essay. Now, I want to make this clear, and this is at the very, very bottom of this page here. Do not take a side in this paper. That's what the argument's for. So in your next paper, you're going to argue for whatever side you choose. For this paper, this is what we call objective. You're just going to look at what the people who agree with your position say and what the people who disagree with your position say. And that's it. It's just kind of like a, I don't want to go so far as to say it's a laundry list because it's going to be written in essay form, but you go, don't give me bullet points, because if you give me bullet points, that'll fail. But, in essay form, what you're doing is you're taking a look at what the people who agree with you say and then what the people who might disagree with you say. And sometimes when you examine both sides of an argument, you may still disagree with the other side, but you may at least understand where that other side's coming from. So that's something that I think that you need to learn from this assignment, is that there are no right and wrong in many of these topics. In many of these topics, the answer is, both sides have good points. However, whatever it is. So those are that's the assignment. Also, you'll notice the CQ Researcher. I'm not quite as fond as a CQ researcher, but it is available for you. It does not have the 2 columns with the bullet points. What it does is it has humongous articles. And I mean sometimes they're pretty doggone long. But they give you a very thorough explanation of both sides of an issue. So that's why I like CQ Researcher, is that it's very, very thorough and it doesn't leave anything out. But then again, those articles can be extremely long. Now, if you're going to quote from either one of these sources, then here's what you need to do. You need to bear in mind, by the way, on that CQ Researcher, I forgot to mention, the username and password are identical. So both of them are going to be this semester's Galileo password. So username will be Poppy and the password will be Poppy. So they'll both be identical. All right. If you're going to cite either one of these sites, you are going to have to use the direct quote. Then the next thing I want you to do is cite that at the end. You're going to write the words worksite in the middle. And for the purposes of citing this, both websites give you a tool which will allow you to cite. So I'm going to start here with the procon.org, since that's the one I'm hoping you'll use. And I will say at the very top, at the very top of the page of your article, now not the home page, but the article that you're writing. At the very top, you're going to see some options like Facebook, Twitter, Google, print. On the left of that, you'll see a little purplish button that says Cite. If you click that, which I'm doing now for the article that I've got pulled up, you'll have several options. APA, Chicago. You better hope that none of your teachers want you to use Chicago. MLA, Turabian. I think, okay, those are the only 4. What you're going to do is you're going to go under the MLA one, and you're only going to copy and paste that first section. The second section is basically a disclaimer saying that MLA no longer requires the URL on a works cited entry, and that's fine. You don't need to copy and paste that into your essay. But that first line that starts off procon.org and will end with the date that you are reading the article. So today's date being February the 12th, 2016, my entry starts off procon.org, then it has the title, procon.org again in italics, the date of the article being published or last updated, web, and then of course the date that I'm reading the article. That's all you got to copy and paste. Copy and paste that, stick it at the very end of your essay, and you're done. And then if you're going to directly quote it, you need to put it in quotation marks, and you need to put pro-con in parentheses after that. It's very important you do that, because if you don't give credit to procon.org where you use this information, then what you've done is plagiarized. So you don't want to do that. I also want to caution you that you only want about 10 to 15% of your paper to be direct quotes. Everything else should be your writing. Your introduction, your body paragraphs, your conclusion. You're just going to use procon.org or CQ Researcher very sparingly in order to help support your cause. Now, if you're in the CQ Researcher, you go into there and you read your little article. So I'm just going to pick one at random here. Let's go into that one. Okay, so, well, actually, I'm going to have to log in here really quickly. I forgot to do that before the video. Alright, so you log in. You read the article. When you get down to the very top, at the very top, you're going to see it says Home, Browse Topics, Browse. So you're going to have all these options. And just below that, in tiny, tiny print, it's going to say Cite Now. So I'm going to click that Cite Now. And the next thing I'm going to do is it says APA Style. But you look at the top, there's some more links. There's one for Blue Book, Chicago, MLA, Cite. Notice. Remember, this is an English class. As an English class, this is going to be an MLA. So I'm going to click that, excuse me, and then I'm going to copy and paste that thing. So, in fact, I'll copy and paste that one in its entirety, starting with the author's name and going to today's date. So, if you're going to quote these sources, put that little works cited at the end so I'll know where you got it from. Also, make sure you give credit. Now, in the CQ Researcher, you'll do it by the author's last name. You don't need page numbers because neither one of these websites have page numbers. So you don't need those. All right. So, you're not taking a side. You're doing an objective look. You're going to look down here at the rubric. Thesis statement. Remember, this week's lesson is actually on the thesis statement. So you should have already done that by now. I know I've given you a couple of weeks to do it, but the only reason I do that is because I got tired of students. Oh, I was busy last week. I can't believe that students are so busy every week that they can't get their assignments done on time. But since I got tired of having to tell these students you got to do your work on time, I give you an extra week. And then, of course, at that point, when you say I need more time, I say, well, you need to send me a doctor's excuse or something. The thesis statement lesson is important because if you don't have a thesis statement, you don't have a paper. Now, in this paper, your thesis statement will probably read something like, people that disagree on lowering the drinking age disagree for reasons 1, 2, and 3. And that's it. That's your thesis statement. People, and this one I picked was renewable energy, just one I picked at random. People who disagree on spending more money on research into renewable energy disagree on points 1, 2, and 3. And then your middle paragraphs, point 1 will be the first paragraph, after the conclusion, of course, so really the second paragraph of the paper. Point 2 might be the next paragraph, point 3 might be the next paragraph, then your conclusion. Notice in the length here, it says 1.5 to 3 pages, which is about 5 to 7 paragraphs. The word count will be 350 to 750. So somewhere between 350 and 750 words, that should be about 5 to 7 really good paragraphs that will give you a thorough analysis of the topic at hand, the thorough objective analysis. Organization structure, that's where those planning sheets can come in. You don't want you want everything about point 1 should be in the paragraph about point 1. Everything about point 2 should be in the paragraph about point 2. Everything about point 3 should be in paragraph about point 3. And they should be well organized. There should be smooth transitions between them. That's part of the structure as well. And in my paper, you're allowed to say first, second, third. That's fine. If I see first and I see second, I know in the second one you're moving on to the next point. Third will tell me that you're moving on to the point after that. So those are all acceptable, and those all fall under the organization structure. The main points and then the secondary points. I've used baseball as an example here. Your main points would be main point number 1, these people disagree about blank. Point 2, these people disagree about blank. Point 3, these people disagree about blank. Now this, of course, is if you're going to do the point by point. Look at that compare and contrast slideshow, because you also have the option to do it in block format. So what you might do in the block format is, here's what all the people who agree with who agree with me say. First they say this, second they say that, third they say that. Then you go to the next one. This is what the people who disagree with me say. First, second, third. So that's the block format. The point by point is, here's what the people have to say about point 1. The people that agree, the people that disagree. Point 2, the people that agree, people disagree. Point 3, people agree, disagree. Now, bear in mind as you're doing that you are going to have to keep everything in the same order. So if you're going to do block format and you talk about 1, 2, 3, then the people that, the other side of the issue will be points 1, 2, 3 in that same order, not 2, 1, 3 or something like that. If you're going to do the point by point, if you're going to do the pros first and then the cons second, then you're going to do that for point 2, pros and cons, and third, pros and cons. You're not going to go pros, cons for 1, cons, pros for 2, and then back to pros, cons for 3. You don't want to do that. So make sure that you have it done correctly. All right. And then, of course, the supporting details. These are the statistics. These are the quotes. These are the anything that have to do with supporting that main point. And I've used baseball as an example. So if my main point is that this team has good, strong pitching, I want to use examples of the pitchers that this team is using in order to explain why the pitching is so good. Then I'm going to go to the batting. I'm going to use specifics about the batting in order to prove my point. And then you'll do it again for the fielding in this. So that is that topic. And then, of course, grammar, spelling, and again, if I reach 30 errors, I'm going to return it to you and have you rewrite it. So work on that grammar, work on cleaning up your punctuation, your spelling, your agreement, make sure you don't put the word you in your essay. I will hammer you if you put the word you in your essay. Or hammer your grade. I won't hammer you, but I'll hammer your grade. So don't do that. And then, of course, there's the pages in the My Blank English book that can help you out. You should have a copy of the My Blank English book. Also, remember that you've got those 2 examples in the the readings for writers that we published. And I chose one with point by point, which was Howard Zinn's American Revolution. You can look at how he organizes that. And then I chose a block, which is Mark Twain, actually Samuel Clemens, who wrote as Mark Twain about the Mississippi River. So look at how he blocks those together. And you'll choose on your own whether you want to do point by point or block. Just make sure it's nice and clear. So if you have any further questions, go ahead and email them to me or call me on my office phone. Because I did not post this video until Friday, I'm giving you until Wednesday to get that first draft in instead of Monday. So if you're panicking because you've been waiting for this video and I haven't done a good job of putting it up, fear not, I'm giving you a couple days of extension. So, but you need to get those essays in by Wednesday if you want me to comment on them in enough time for you to go ahead and write your final drafts. So that's it for the compare contrast. And I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope it cleared up some of your questions. And if not, again, feel free to email me or feel free to call me on my phone.